What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the Belly of Sports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasting, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast fix from, you'll find us there at Insert Name FC. Big updates. So we are now officially do everything through Podchaser now. Belly Up Sports did make some changes recently, and so that is one of the big changes that happened. So everything is now being produced through Podchaser, so that's pretty cool. We do have a video version of this podcast. You can find that on Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. So full video podcast. This podcast in particular, very much you'll see it. So if you guys aren't aware, before we get to that, follow us on social media on Instagram, X, Facebook at Insert Name FC. We also have our own YouTube channel at Insert Name FC as well. When the season kicks back up, we'll drop we'll break these episodes into shorter videos, and that's where you can find us on our own YouTube channel. So that is so we do have content there as well. But yeah, check us out on social media. So last episode, we recapped the Gold Cup, and so that's very much going to be very similar to this episode. So once again, this is not an official in-season episode where we do have headlines and all those discussions. This is just us straight up recapping the FIFA Club World Cup. So that is literally what this episode's going to be. No special guests. It's just going to be me today. Pretty straightforward. So hope you guys sit back, relax, and get ready to recap this FIFA Club World Cup final. So yeah, so that's pretty much it, and we'll go right into it. Yeah, I don't know. This is very awkward right now. I don't know why, but we'll go right into recapping the Club World Cup final. Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys. So the FIFA Club World Cup is officially over. The tournament is done. We have a new Club World Cup champion, and that is Chelsea FC. Now, before we get to the final, I will want to talk about the tournament as a whole. I think some positives, some negatives. Obviously, the big negative, I think, and I don't think it was marketed badly. I don't think it was. I think that the concerns were very clear from the jump, which was, once again, we're talking about an issue that the players have been complaining about, which is the fact that they are getting overworked. They're adding more competitions more and more. Now, the Club World Cup used to be pretty short, standard. It was literally the winners of that previous year's Champions League, right? So whoever won that region's version of their Champions League, they'd go into, and a host team, I believe, will go into this tournament, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. But obviously, Gianni Infantino wanted to expand that and turn it into a World Cup-esque event. Now, for people complaining about how the U.S. was selected to be the host for this inaugural tournament, reason being, they're hosting the World Cup. That is why. So, essentially, the host is going to be whoever is hosting that World Cup the previous years, because it's going to follow along with the World Cup. So 4 years from now, when the World Cup is hosted in Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, I'm assuming Spain's going to be the host nation for that 2029 FIFA Club World Cup. That's it. That's how they're going to approach it. They're not going to be looking for a host nation. Once they have their host nation, and same thing goes for 2033. In 2033, when that Club World Cup happens, it's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. Some people trying to say that, Americans rigged it in some way. U.S. just happens to be the host of this coming World Cup, and that's why they selected it. It is in order to build some excitement of the World Cup in that region, or I guess you could say also a good stress test to figure out, is this country ready to host the World Cup? Now, I think that there were some concerns that were raised. Concerns that I frankly think is idiotic. The reason why I say that it's idiotic is because the biggest complaint that happened throughout the tournament was the weather and attendance. Attendance to these matches, which unfortunately, the reason, to my opinion, as far as my opinion goes, as to why the attendance was terrible, was not because of football culture being terrible in the United States. There is very much a football culture here. There is people that would go as far as they can to watch these matches and attend these matches. Prices for these tickets were ridiculous. I understand that, but also to make a fair point, the prices for tickets for the Gold Cup final between USA and Mexico was also pretty pricey, and a lot of people showed up to that game, specifically a lot of Mexicans. And once again, I've made that argument that no fan base travels better than Mexico. No fan base is more determined to go see their national team play than Mexico. They didn't care about the ticket prices. They were like, I'm going to figure out how to get to that game. And they got it. So, I think that the argument for prices, someone's going to pay. Regardless, at the end of the day, someone's going to pay. I do agree. Ticket prices need to be more reasonable. I do believe that, because I looked at those prices for the Gold Cup final, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to watch it at home. And honestly, to be fair, guys, I'm a watch it at home guy anyways. Like, I like being able to go to the fridge to get whatever beverage I want. I like to be able to go to the bathroom, not having to wait in a long line to go use the bathroom. That's just me. I like the convenience of being at home. Now, the atmosphere and everything about being in a stadium, yes, I totally agree. It's a great experience. I've been to many stadiums and I've watched plenty of matches. I understand the aesthetic and why you would want to go to a live event. But I've watched the U.S. men's national team in person plenty of times in my life. I've been to NRG Stadium plenty of times in my life. So that's just me. I'm a rare person. I know that my opinion isn't going to be the same for others. But that's just me. I just love being able to be in the comfort of my own home and enjoy the game. But I will say there is a lot of people that will go above and beyond for their teams. And I do think also the other issue that came with the attendance is the times that these matches were played. I'm sorry, but people, unlike other countries in the U.S., people still have to work. I know in other countries that they mandate a certain period where you're supposed to let your employees off. That's not a thing here in the U.S., unfortunately. As much as I would love that, it's not a thing. People have to work, and telling people to get to the stadium at 3 o'clock, regardless, not many people are going to make it in time. Work is going to be a reason, in general. Like, I'm not trying to make excuse, but yes, the time, and to correlate with the times of these matches, because that's what another complaint that happened was the weather. The weather was a huge complaint in this tournament. Not by, I wouldn't say a good percentage was complaining about the weather, i.e. the Europeans, because I don't remember Auckland City complaining too much about the weather. Not Central America. The teams from Mexico weren't complaining, and neither were the teams in in South America, the Brazilian teams and the Brazilian teams. Why? Because they're in their element. This is the weather they're used to. They're used to playing in this kind of heat, in these kind of conditions. So for them, it wasn't a big deal. Now okay. Look, I get it. In Europe, it probably doesn't get as hot as it got for them. Above 80 degrees or whatever the temperature was, wherever Borussia Dortmund decided to have their bench players in the locker room to watch the match because it was too hot for them. Same thing happened with Bayern Munich. I get that maybe 80 plus degree Fahrenheit, 80 plus degree Fahrenheit weather may be a little too intense for you guys, but for everybody else, that's like for me, for instance, I'm from Texas. I would love to be outside in 80 degree weather. As a matter of fact, I believe right now in Houston, it's like, what's the weather like in Houston right now? Let me, just so you guys have a frame of reference here. Once again, I live in Houston, Texas. We are very humid, and we definitely deal with a lot of heat. So right now in Houston, Texas, is 93 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's not including humidity. Humidity makes it so much hotter. So for me, 80-degree weather, I'll take it. Let's go outside. Let's go to the pool, guys. I mean, I'll go to the pool regardless right now. But, like, that's not bad. To me, that's not bad. I understand. And once again, when the tables are turned, I'm over here freaking out at 50-degree weather. You guys are like, oh, this is a nice day in the park. So I get it. There's levels to it. There's differences to it. But once again, a good majority of people that were complaining about the weather, it correlated a lot with the times that these matches were being played. Obviously, if anybody can figure this out, around noon, the sun is at its highest. That means that we're probably going to start reaching our hottest temperatures around that time. So anything around 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., it's going to be hot. So one of my big complaints that I had with FIFA was because FIFA was trying too hard to accommodate the European fans, which is something that I personally don't think should ever happen. You should be accommodating to the host nation of the tournament. I mean, the World Cup in Japan and Korea. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all, I remember waking up very early in the morning, almost 3 in the morning, to go watch the World Cup final. Same. If I want to watch the World Cup, I'm going to watch the World Cup, regardless of what time it's going to be. I'm going to work around the hours of that time. Imagine if Japan would have played those games in a different time. Imagine how the local people of Japan, how they would have been able to attend their matches. Also Korea as well. So it's not about accommodating the U.S. I'm not trying to say that it should be accommodating to the U.S., but as of right now, the U.S. is the host nation. Same thing for Mexico and same thing for Canada. Their time periods need to be accommodating to their nation's time periods. And the U.S. is very tricky. U.S., Mexico, and Canada are very tricky because their time zones are very different depending on where you go. Obviously, the East Coast, you're going to have a lot earlier time slot. Texas, for reference, east from center, that's a 1 hour time difference. And then California, I believe, is like 3 hours. I don't quote on me on that one. But that's just to give you a frame of reference. Like it's a big change for a lot of us. So if you want to have a time slot that's probably, it's like to be more accommodating to Europe, if you wanted to go down that route, maybe, I'm trying to think here. Like obviously East Coast is probably not going to be ideal because of the weather. So don't have 2 o'clock games there, because it's going to be hot. It's just going to be hot. California could be hot. Also, the weather delays that happen because of lightning. Look, here in the U.S., which I didn't realize it was even a U.S. thing, but when there is lightning within a certain distance, they need to delay the game, because obviously it's a hazard. It's dangerous to be playing in a lightning storm, and which is very common, especially if you're in the South, and in the South in general, but just everywhere in general in the U.S., especially when you're near water. So I get it. Maybe you guys didn't like that. And yes, I know it sucks. The delays suck, and I agree with it too. But that's why location also matters. The heat thing is just timing it better. If you're gonna play in Miami, time periods maybe at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Anything after 5 o'clock is probably going to be fine. It's going to be tolerable versus when the sun is at its highest. So I would say anything in the evening, especially in the southern states, you're going to probably be good to go. And obviously 6, especially if you're trying to make sure locals are able to go to these matches, 6 is probably one of the more reasonable times. I mean, people attend baseball games all the time, and the first pitch is usually around 7. So You're usually able to have a genuinely a good crowd in those stadiums. American football is a little different. One, it's on a Sunday, so most people don't work on Sunday, so that's a little bit easier to fill up those stadiums. Basketball, very similar to baseball, where they play in the evening to make sure that they can get as many people as they can. Now, baseball does have day games. It's happened plenty of times in my life. Um, those are the games that most professional teams understand that it's probably gonna not be their best attended game. But you work around the schedule. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip, using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. So I think for FIFA, this is not a U.S. issue. People kept saying, trying to say that the U.S. is unfit to host the World Cup. I think that that's a complete farce. Obviously, the '94 World Cup did happen, and it was a very good event. So I don't want to say that people are trying to use that U.S. culture isn't ready, that trying to use all the outside factors that came into play with what's going on right now in the U.S. with the ICE raids and all that. Yes, those are touchy subjects, but once again, all those arguments that people had, you can use that same excuse for the Gold Cup, and guess what? It was a very well attended Gold Cup final between USA and Mexico, majority being Mexican national team fans. And you can use the argument that the issues with ice raids were very much there as well, and it attended very well. So, like I said, and the World Cup's a different event. People are going to come to this country for that. People aren't coming for the Club World Cup. Because also the fact is that no one was really sure how good this tournament was going to begin to begin with, because there was just so many issues that people just weren't. I had a ton of issues with the FIFA Club World Cup, so I didn't expect it to do as well. I think I had such a low bar that I was very much impressed by the Club World Cup. That's just, I didn't go in with high expectations of how this tournament was going to go. Seeing the scarce people for Auckland City, for any of the very niche nations, the niche clubs, like the teams from Africa, the teams from Asia. Like, honestly, some of their fan bases showed up very well. But the World Cup is just a different level. People are going to come. Look, people are trying to use travel as an excuse, and I feel for that. But I'm sure there's gonna be hotel packages, especially if you get that hospitality package, that's going to provide some sort of transport for you and whoever is in your party to attend these matches and be there in a reasonable hour. But that just goes back to understanding how Houston or any local traffic is going to be, And besides, most of these stadiums are going to have, most of these matches are going to have like a festival, I'm assuming, or some sort of thing outside that you can watch people play a little 3v3, something, I don't know, I can't tell you, like a little festival before the match starts. So it's going to be an entire spectacle in general, even before you get into the match. So if you're trying to show up there by kickoff, it makes no sense. There's going to be people there that's going to be there a little bit earlier. And in reality, that's what you need to do anyways if you're attending a sporting event. You try to get there earlier so you're not there before, trying to get there while national anthem is being performed. So there's that. I will say, the Americanization of this tournament was a little bit bizarre. Like the player, like announcing the lineups. I thought that was unnecessary. I don't think ever to do that again. The people saying that the whole having Bruce Buffer, or one of the Buffer brothers, one of them, to say, announce, like, let's get ready to rumble. Honestly, who cares? I don't. This will be, oh, that's cringy. One. By the way, I think either Bruce Buffer or whoever, but this is essentially an American thing. Like UFC boxing. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure which Buffer it was, but it was one of the Buffers. you know, boxing is very worldwide. So that's not an American thing. Buffer has done. If you watch boxing, you've seen Buffer say, "Let's get ready to rumble." If UFC, very worldwide as well. Everyone's heard also Bruce Buffer say, "It's time." So, like, this isn't new. This isn't just an American thing. Like, there is UFC fans from across the world. There's boxing fans somehow across the world. So to say that, oh, this is so American, this is so cringe, like, shut the fuck up. All right, like, I get it. Like, you're trying to find as many ways to call out the U.S. for what it is. Am I going to sit here and tell you that the U.S. is like the greatest country of all time? No. And no, there's no such thing as the greatest country, period. All countries have their flaws. All countries have their issues. No country is perfect. If there was such thing as a perfect country, everybody would be living in that country. There's no such thing as a perfect country. No one has figured it out. Nobody has, and nobody ever will, because everybody has everyone's gonna get criticized for everything. I'm sure one day when we find a cure for cancer, if we somehow find a cure for cancer, someone's gonna criticize that. So, like, we live in a world full of people that are just gonna be critical about it. Now, I will argue, the people that try to make this Club World Cup like a spectacle, kind of similar to the Super Bowl, which Infantino spoke about this. This was Infantino who went to go see the Super Bowl and was just like, wow, how do I make the World Cup that? Do I agree with it? No. Do we need a halftime show? No. Just have Shakira perform the pregame show and call it a day. Like, we don't need to do the same thing that Super Bowl does. We don't need it. Like, FIFA doesn't need to do what the World Cup, what the Super Bowl does. The World Cup is already as marketable as it can be. Seeing players play for their countries, seeing your country play in the World Cup, that's as much marketing as you need. It's the storylines that comes from these tournaments that really gravitates the people. No one cares if you get so-and-so to perform the halftime show. First of all, people are going to be like, why is there even a halftime show? So for me, that's my argument. Like, because people are going to say we're trying to Americanize the World Cup. And I get that argument. I really do get the argument. But also, it's always about trying to take the next step. What can Infantino do to take that next step? That's the issue. Right there is the issue. Because honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The World Cup is perfectly fine. There's no issue with the World Cup. The big thing that's going to be coming into this World Cup, and it's going to be a huge storyline going into the 2026 FIFA World Cup, is that it's the expanded World Cup. This is the first time that it's going to be expanded from the 32 teams to 48. 32 to 48 teams. That's going to be one of the big storylines. Who are the new faces? Who are going to, who would be that, all the interesting things of what's going to happen now that we have more teams in this World Cup. Are we going to see more upsets? Are we going to see all this? That's going to be a storyline of its own. Yes, U.S., Mexico, and Canada hosting it. The entire continent of North America, that's going to be a storyline as well. Yes, the criticisms that all people have for the U.S. as a host nation is going to be a storyline in the 2026 World Cup. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we need a halftime show to make this a topic of discussion because, like I said, there's 3 storylines right there. That's gonna get you at least intrigued enough, whether you're going in negatively or positively into that World Cup. So, I mean, but Infantino wants to make it a spectacle. That's just what it is. But aside from that, the entire tournament as a whole, I think we had some very interesting stories. Right? Auckland City, as much as people were hating on this team. Also, I'm just gonna say this because I already know this. It really pissed me off. People complaining about how the teams qualified. Oh, how this team get in, but not this team. Why is Barcelona not in this tournament? Because Barcelona didn't win a fucking Champions League. That's why. That's it. why was Atletico Madrid and they haven't won Champions League? Because they needed two teams from Spain, and the other team from Spain was at least recently in a final. So that's why. Um, Same thing for Borussia Dortmund. They didn't win a Champions League, but they were recently in a final. And that's why, along with Bayern Munich, the team that did win a Champions League. For England, Man City, because they won a Champions League. Chelsea, because they were the last English Premier League team to win a Champions League besides Manchester City. That's why they were there. Inter, they were a finalist in the Champions League. That's why they were there. Juventus, same thing. They were a finalist in the Champions League. That's why they're there. Salzburg, I have no idea. I'm really not entirely sure how that happened, but they're there. They were there. But Auckland City, I mean, yes, it's a team full of part-time players, but they won their region's Champions League. Pretty straightforward. Same thing for all the teams in Africa. Same as the teams from Asia. Like they were able to perform in their region's Champions League. That's why they're there. Instead of people complaining, and it was funny because I remember there was this one content creator. I can't remember his name, but he speaks really highly on Juventus, and he was like, if he was in charge of the Club World Cup, what would you do? And he essentially made it the Champions League because it was essentially all European players. That's not the point of this tournament. This point is to showcase everybody, every region have a skin in the game. That's really what it is, to see what's so unique of Mexican football. What is so unique of the MLS? Can an MLS team hang? Can a Liga MX team hang? Can the clubs? What makes the clubs in Brazil so enticing to all across Europe to go get their players? Why is Boca and River Plate? Why are they considered one of the biggest rivalries in the game entirely? That's what people want to see, and that's what they got. I don't like. It's not. We're not like trying to figure out the Da Vinci Code here. It's pretty straightforward. Just like in the World Cup, how we have countries from different regions all entwined into this competition to see which region has the best nation, right? That's pretty straightforward. That's what a Club World Cup. If you were trying to throw in all the European teams, that's the Champions League. There's already a competition where you can figure out who's the best team in Europe. There's not a competition to figure out who's the best team in the world, best club in the world. And yeah, some people could argue that most teams in Europe probably would be better than some of these guys, but I think we learned, especially in the World Cup, that the Club World Cup was in the U.S. That's not a guarantee, because these Brazilian teams, they stepped up. They stepped up and they performed very well. One, probably because they were in their elements as far as weather goes, but it's not as simple as people thought it was going to be. A lot of people straight up thought that it was just going to be all the European teams moving on to the knockout round. Atletico Madrid didn't even make it out the knockout round. They didn't even make it to the knockout round. Botafogo did. So, like, once again, I think that the Club World Cup showcased a lot of good things. Once again, I had a very low bar going into this competition, so I don't want to sit here and tell you guys that, everything that happened, I went as expected. I thought that this was going to be a massive shit show. I'm just going to tell you right now. I literally had no expectations. Not because I thought the attendance was going to be bad. Not because I knew that the weather was going to be bad. I just had so many concerns of how these players who have gone through a full season, PSG's case, went through an entire fucking gauntlet, and still perform and come in and perform in what many people would view would be better off just having a preseason tour of the U.S. But I will say, Club World Cup, it was pretty entertaining. But yeah, the storyline for me was Auckland City. I mean, yes, they got shellacked. I mean, they got an impressive draw at the end, but which sure felt like a win for them. But think about it. These guys were part-time guys. Like, one of these guys is a warehouse manager, and he got to be on the same pitch as Manuel Neuer. And that's pretty cool. And for Auckland City, man, like, imagine if these guys could actually play full-time, which a lot of people aren't realizing. The money that these clubs like Auckland City got, some of those players could now become full-time players. They can be more invested into Auckland City, where they can get better. And they already won their region's Champions League. So, like, yeah, that's kind of cool to think for Auckland City. You know, same thing for everybody else, man. Like, some of these players got to showcase what they're capable of. This could be a big moment, a huge stepping stone for them. And maybe a team is interested in these guys in the long run, right? So I think that's the really cool part of all that. Another storyline, obviously, Brazil showed up. Brazil showed up. They're really good. I mean, you had a semifinalist. You had a semifinalist in Fluminense. This tournament was definitely the tournament. Like, hey, there's a reason why you keep trying to take our guys, from Brazil. So I think that's awesome as well. But yeah, it was to me, all in all, pretty good tournament. I think it's not perfect. I think there's things that need to be fixed for the next one, which will be once again in 2029, because there's going to be another one. But all in all, for the first attempt at it, it's not bad. It'll get better, and we'll see as things progress. But all right, the final: Chelsea 3, PSG 0. So no other trophy, no more additional trophies for PSG for what it really was a magical season for PSG this year. But yeah, Chelsea. I said it. I was like, dude, Chelsea is not a slouch. I think they figured things out. I think this team is going to be for real, and I just didn't have them as my number one team. It was funny because, like, when you look at my teams, the teams that I said that may or may not win, that may possibly win. At number one, I had Real Madrid, knocked out in the semifinals. Obviously, very embarrassing. Like, Manchester City lost to Al Hilal. Chelsea, I had them at third. I had Bayern Munich at fourth. Who'd they get eliminated by? They got eliminated by PSG. And PSG at fifth. So yeah, I had Chelsea higher than PSG in my top 5.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
And yeah, they did it. So, look, I'm not going to take full credit. Obviously, I had Real Madrid number one, and they got completely smoke-checked. Do I think Huijsen would have changed anything? Not really, but that's not important. But yes, the final between Chelsea and PSG, a lot of people were saying pray for Chelsea, and Chelsea was just like, nah, we're good. But yeah, so in this game, PSG had 67% of the possession, which I think bodes better for Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea really is a team that necessarily needs the possession. So I think that this actually worked well for them. Chelsea actually outshot PSG 10-8, but PSG did have more shots on target, which was 6 to Chelsea's 5. They were also PSG was essentially more efficient in their shot taking compared to Chelsea's, but almost double the amount of passes PSG did versus Chelsea, once again because of the majority possession that they had. But Yeah, and it was a lot of fouls, 15 fouls from Chelsea's side, 12 fouls from PSG side, a lot of cards. You had total of 6 yellow cards in this game, 4 coming from Chelsea, 2 coming from PSG. 1 red card, which came from João Neves, which I believe that's when he was when he pulled Cucurella's hair, which is all-time moment. That's a hilarious moment there for me. But goals came in from Cole Palmer in the 22nd minute, and also in the 30th minute came from Cole Palmer as well. He had his statement performance right there. And João Pedro, the newest signing for Chelsea, looking very much to be like, hey, I know you guys got this Delap kid. I know you also got Nico Jackson, but I'm better. And I mean, I'm not denying it. So, yeah, João Pedro, good performance. I think Delap has performed very well for Chelsea as well. I think this was a good performance for Chelsea. I think for everyone to have doubt in them, which kind of, honestly, in a lot of the final runs that Chelsea has had, no one's ever believed in them. Like, I mean, when you go back to that Champions League that they won against Manchester City, everything was pointed towards Manchester City, and Chelsea was like, yeah, I don't care. And they won. By the way, that year, Chelsea had a very successful time period when every time they faced off against Manchester City, by the way. So PSG, like, when everything is stacked against them, they just say, F it, we're going to win this game. Like, honestly, if you want Chelsea to lose, just put them as the favorite. Like, don't give them any odds. Like, let them be the favorite in that matchup, because clearly that's what works for them. That is the formula. If you're Chelsea, is just, okay, don't believe us, and we'll go win. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, they just believe in being underdogs, and they worked. I said a lot of things about Chelsea going into this tournament because, like, I just feel like they figured it out. Yes, they spent a lot of money to make this team happen. Todd Boehly looked like an idiot, kind of still is, but it finally clicked. And it all goes back to the Europa Conference League. I know people like I said it, things just clicked for Chelsea when they were in a competition that they just had no business being it, because they were just much better than everybody else in that competition. Like, to give you guys an example, this is like the equivalent of Alabama, the American football reference here. Alabama. Well, no, okay, I can't use Alabama because right now they're not as strong of a team. Ohio State. We're just national champions in college football, college American football, and it's like if Ohio State just goes and joins a conference full of like 2 and 3 star teams, like they just obliterate everybody. And then the next season they go and go back into their conference where they're supposed to be in, and just beat everybody, like, because they have all the confidence in the world now. They're like, we're world beaters. No one can beat us. That's what it felt like watching Chelsea just obliterate everybody in the Conference League, which is essentially just like, oh yeah, that's right, we're good. And they took it in, right? They qualified for a Champions League spot outright from the Premier League, and they took from that momentum, they took it further into this Club World Cup, and I think that once again you put them in a tournament setting, and they're going to prevail. And I think that they did very well. Once again, when the odds are against them, they just find ways to win. And when you go up against a team like PSG with a manager like Luis Enrique, you think it just makes sense that they're not going to win. They're just not at their level. And Chelsea's just like, I don't care. And it worked. And I hate that I'm glazing Chelsea as much as I am right now. I don't like doing this, but I called it. I didn't predict them to win, but I called it, right? I said, hey, look out for this Chelsea team. This team is going to do something. I just didn't realize that something was going to be win the entire tournament. But they did it. They performed fairly well. Cole Palmer, I said it. He just got the number 10 shirt. He is going to live up to that shirt, and he did. He did. He scored the win. He scored. He set the tone for that game. Once he scored that goal and then got that other one in, he set that tone that Chelsea was like, yeah, we're owning this game today, and they did. They played very well defensively. They knew what they needed to do. They handled their own and they handled business. And of course, at the end of the game, a tussle happened between João Pedro and Luis Enrique, which that was kind of funny. But on top of all that, the award ceremony. So Donald Trump was present. Donald Trump had apparently, fun fact: Donald Trump played soccer. I'm not gonna say football. Out of respect to the football, to the proper football people. But yeah, he played some soccer back in his days, and he talked about his appreciation for Pele when he was playing for the New York Cosmos, all that stuff. But so he was there with Infantino to award the medals, awarded the Player of the Tournament award to Cole Palmer, and then they were handing Reece James the FIFA Club World Cup trophy, handed it to him, and as Infantino is trying to walk away, because in reality, when you hand the trophy to the team, you then, which is funny because let's not do that. Like, not hand the trophy, because like obviously you put the trophy on the podium, you let the team captain, you give him his medal, you let him walk to the trophy himself, pick up the trophy, and then he does the whole trophy lift. Like, you don't need to present the trophy to anybody. Like, let's keep that tradition, by the way. And obviously it makes the most sense, because then we avoid this entire issue, which was Donald Trump wanting to stay with Chelsea as they did the trophy lift. Look, controversial or not, look, whether or not you like the big Cheeto Man or you do like the Cheeto Man, look, frankly, if you ask me, I don't fucking care. I'm not really a political guy. I refuse to be a political guy. At least I refuse to let that be my personality. I'm not Republican, but I'm also not a Democrat. So just so everybody knows. But I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny that Donald Trump just wouldn't move. I thought it was funny. And now the images are just there forever, where Chelsea has Donald Trump with them. And like, were they confused? Yes. I don't know if they're angry, because these guys don't care about Donald Trump. That they're not. He's not their governmental leader. Like, why would they care about whatever the fuck Donald Trump's doing? But I will say it does ruin at least any of because the thing is, these images are for Chelsea is now just going to be like, I don't think I can post this picture, because obviously someone is going to just obliterate the messages with the comments about how Trump has no business being there, and I totally get it. But it was funny. It was funny nonetheless. And then you see Infantino constantly trying to get him out of the way, but he just wasn't going to move. So, very funny moment. But all in all, man, Chelsea, I don't think anybody had Chelsea, unless you're a Chelsea fan, obviously. But I don't think anybody had Chelsea on their bingo card to win the Club World Cup. But there they are, winners of the Club World Cup, and respectively right now, have all the bragging rights in the world. They are now the only team in the world to win, well, at least as a European club, to win all possible trophies. They have won the Champions League. They have won the Europa League. They have won the Europa Conference League. They've won the Premier League. They've won the Carabao Cup. They've won the FA Cup. They won the Community Shield. They've won the old FIFA Club World Cup, and now they've won the new FIFA Club World Cup. Say what you want, but they did it. That's their bragging right. Until somebody else can do it, that is their bragging right to keep. So, congratulations to Chelsea for completely embarrassing PSG. And maybe a humbling experience right now for PSG, right? They had arguably one of the best seasons to have and got immediately humbled by a team that maybe on the other side had no promise, and here they are, champions of the world. I think for me, it just gets me more excited for the World Cup. Honestly, it really does. I think if FIFA does the things that I said, which is play the matches that's reasonable to the locals. I'm not going to say U.S., but just make it reasonable for the locals. So for this case, USA, Mexico, and Canada, make it convenient for the time slots be convenient for the locals, because that's the more important part. As far as traffic concerns go, as far as weather concerns go, blase, attendance goes, that is going to help avoid those issues. Ticket prices also need to be improved, but like I said, if they fix those things, this World Cup is going to be a fun one. So no doubt about it. But yeah, that is the FIFA Club World Cup, and we'll go ahead and segue into concluding this episode.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, that is episode 2. I don't even know. But yeah, so this is the last episode you're going to hear from us during the break. We will be back for our new season in so our first episode for the new season will be August 14th. That will be kicking off the new season for Insert Name FC. So be ready for that. Be prepared, because that's when we're back in business. So with all that being said, man, thank you so much for listening. Catch us August 14th for our first episode of the 2025-26 football season. Take care, guys. Oh, shit. My bad. Make sure you guys check out Belly Up Sports, www.bellysports.com. Lots of great articles, lots of great podcasts. Go ahead and check them out, man. Check out their YouTube channel, Belly Up Sports. Great website. Go see what's going on there right now. Right now, obviously, baseball is the big conversation. We got MLB All-Star Game kicking off, so that's probably going to be what's going to be going on over there. Also, Golz TV, Golz.tv. That's another way you can watch the video version of this podcast, is over there on Golz.tv, Golz.tv. Follow them on Instagram and X. Instagram at Golz.tv, and on the X at Golz underscore TV. So that's how you know. See what's going on there. Also, they have a YouTube channel, Golz TV. You'll find me there every once in a while with their show, Wake Up MLS. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, that's pretty straightforward. You guys like the beats? They're made none other than Roosevelt Spencer, the namesake of the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year Award. We love him so much. We take care of him as best as we can. And yeah, if you guys need some beat work done, go check him out on Instagram at That Guy Dope. Once again, at That Guy Dope, and he'll take great care of you like he always does with us. I guarantee it. But with all that being said, man, thank you so much for thanks so much for listening. Catch us August 14th for the new season. Take care, guys.